next speaker is Professor Warren Schultz. Warren's a history professor at DePaul University in Chicago, and he's a specialist in the monetary history of the Mamluk Sultanate. He's a fellow of the American Numismatic Society, and is a longtime member of the ONS.
I have a rather boring title about something I think is actually pretty exciting, and that is that in November I was able to visit the Asiatic Society of Mumbai and view a grand total of 86 Mamluk coins that are preserved there. And I would like to thank very much the Society's managing committee for granting me access to the coins. Copyright of all the images you'll see today remain with the Asiatic Society of Mumbai. I especially acknowledge the president, honorary secretary, and the vice president for research for all their help in arranging my visit, and for Mr. Victor Joseph for his assistance with the coins. You might ask yourself, why are there Mamluk coins sitting in Mumbai? And actually, I became aware of them through a couple old articles, the first of which was published in the Journal of the Bombay branch of the Royal Asiatic Society in 1982, which was a description and a partial catalog of a hoard of coins found at Broch or Baruch. And then about 12 years later, a short note in the same journal by the same author, Oliver Codrington, in which it was noted that some of these coins ended up in the coin cabinet of the Asiatic Society of Bombay, as it was called at that time. This hoard was described in 1882 as consisting of 448 gold coins and pieces, 4 small ingots of gold, and about 1,200 silver coins and pieces, so slightly less than 1,700 objects. Codrington went on to describe this hoard as containing coins from across much of Eurasia, Genoa, Venice, Egypt, Armenia, Persia, Delhi, etc. And that list is incomplete. But he did, I'd like to point out his conclusion that we may conclude that the deposit was made soon after the most recent coin, which is at the end of the 14th century. And then he went on to speculate perhaps the owner was a merchant. Regardless of that case, we know that Broch was a major entrepot in the Indian Ocean trade in the Islamic Middle Period, 1000 to 1500, linking the interior of India with particularly across the Arabian Sea into sort of the classic Middle East of the Nile to Oxus. When Codrington spent his time, we don't know very much about how much time he spent on these coins. He only had one reference for the Islamic coins in the hoard, and that was Lane Poole's volume 4, 1879, of the catalog of the Oriental coins in the British Museum. Those of you who have perhaps not looked at this catalog in a while, I think it's useful to remind us that Lane Poole followed the practice of assigning the obverse label to the face with pious legends. This is the reverse of what, for example, what we see today in the Siligi Numorum Arabicorum Tübingen series. The diameter is given in inches and the weight's given in grains. And not surprisingly, these same practices were followed by Codrington. Out of these almost 1,700 coins, what happened to them? Well, as Simon Digby wrote in a very important article now 45 years ago, he noted that Codrington is discreetly silent on the whereabouts of the hoard when he was permitted to examine it. It is not unlikely that the coins had come into the possession of a local saraf or shraf who was unwilling to surrender them as a treasure trove. He raises 3 possibilities as to what happened to some of the coins. Many of them, he posits, could have been melted down, or some of them could have ended up in regional museums across the subcontinent. As it turned out, 82 of them ended up in the uh, Asiatic Society of Mumbai. The third possibility Digby raised was that there's possibly some of them in the British Museum. However, repeated attempts by Digby and by myself through colleagues and whose efforts I appreciate greatly. We've not been able to find any coins linked directly to this hoard. It's possible, though, that a closer examination of the gold coins that are in Volume 9, the supplement, published in 1889, which takes into account coins added to the BMC, the British Museum collection from up till 1886. We may be able to track one down there. So in the 1894 article, he wrote the following, Codrington did. As I have recently arranged the cabinet of coins and revised the catalog, I send a few notes giving a summary of the collection in order chiefly that it may be seen in what it is defective, but also that attention may be drawn to it, and in the hope that more interest in Oriental numismatics may be excited amongst the members of the society, and that the collection be made more perfect. In the article, he mentioned that 26 very fine gold coins were added to the ASM, and also a number of silver coins. We now know that to be 56. He described it as a valuable and unusually full collection of coinage from the Mamluk period. Here's a brief description of what these 82 coins consist of. All of them dating from basically Baibars until the last couple of so-called Bahri period sultans. I do want to mention briefly, however, that there were 4 other Mamluk coins in the collection. They're all 15th century. 2 are large flan golds of Nasser Faraj's first reign, and 1 is from an early Ashrafi of Al-Ashraf Baibars, and then another gold coin from Zahir Jakmak. And this is as good a point as any, is to sort of share this little anecdote that when I first contacted the society, some members of the coordinating committee said, "We don't have any Mamluk coins." And I said, "Well, maybe you do. Here are these articles." And it turned out that, in fact, they did have them, and I'm very grateful they allowed me to examine them. What my interest in the brooch hoard was, shall we say, launched by the fact that it's played a pretty significant role in the history of Mamluk numismatics. Paul Balog, in his foundational work, The Coinage of the Mamluk Sultans of Egypt and Syria, 1964, incorporated some of these coins in this catalog. Not, however, without difficulties. And I'll ask you to take me on faith here, but I do believe there is a need for a Codrington-Balog concordance. And I'll give you a little example here. You'll see that Codrington, his coin type, or it's actually a number of the specific coin, but it's also used to represent coins similar to this coin. This is and here we have this wonderful transliteration of 19th century Victorian English of Al-Ashraf Shah Ban. On the left is the listing in his 1882 catalog, and on the right we see how this information was incorporated into Balog, including the use of that line drawing there of a clay clay disc of the coin itself. Things get much more complicated when there are more coins described in the 1882 catalog than just 1 or 2. And here you see there's 102 individual specimens of coins linked to Shalbanigan of a slightly different type of slightly, and here you see how he's listed them, listing coins of the Cairo mint along with those of Damascus and and Alexandria. Nice little shout out to Bilal here. And of course, Baibars never put Iskander on his own coins. This is considerably more challenging to try to make sense of. So in part because of the incomplete nature of the data in Codrington's article, the lack of a thorough set of images, etc. Balog was, of course, unable to incorporate all the broach data into CMSES. And not surprisingly, there are also occasional mistakes, both in Codrington himself, because again, he had only the BMC catalog, and in actually Balog's transfer. So what I wanted to just share with you today is just some examples of some of the issues that I've found out working with these coins, trying to place them in the wider spectrum of Mamluk monetary studies. Here's one example of the coin on the right, ASM coin 2695, is of course a gold dinar of Baibars, and in this case, it actually is the coin that entered the collection of the Asiatic is actually the same coin that was issued, which is a surprising thing to find, but it also it makes me want to learn more about something I don't think I can learn more about, is just how exactly did Codrington study and gather all this data. Here is another type of example. There were two gold coins mentioned in Codrington's catalog linked to Al-Mansur Qalawun, and the coins 2 and 3, one of which was plated, as you can see on the left. The coin on the right is pretty close to representing, to being, it's certainly the same type. I don't know if it's the exact same coin, but unfortunately, the weight measurements recorded in the ASM current coin book and my own measurements, and those from those in Codrington and Balog, don't match up at all. So further, what's the easy out here? Further research is needed. In this case, here's another example of the same coin cataloged in 1882 showing up in the ASM collection. But moving to some silver, Codrington identified this particular coin as part of his Zahir Baibars, but of course, it's not. It's his son Baraka Khan. We know that by this linked dots, this tamga, as Balog called it, which is found on the Damascene coins of Said Baraka Khan, and you can see his name right here, Baraka Khan. Never just assume that because it's a lion passant left, it's going to be Baibars. Oh, wrong way, sorry. And then here's another coin that was misidentified by Codrington. As you can see, it's not particularly well preserved. And unlike the gold coins in the ASM collection, the silver is really worn and in some cases quite thick and needing in some restoration. But here we have clearly Al-Malik al-Muzaffar, which is the regnal title of the sometimes called the second Baibars. And then here is a very interesting coin. It's the last one I'll talk about in any detail. Codrington, I think once again we have a coin in the ASM that is actually illustrated in Codrington's 1882 catalog, and I draw your attention to the little lion here. This is once again a coin of Baibars, but the line you'll see is to the right. This and this is what Codrington said about it. I don't think it looks like a lion. It looks like a hare. Well, maybe that's debatable. But he also draws attention to the fact that it's a lion to the right. And as I spell out here in greater detail, the coins with a lion to the right from Baibars' reign are extremely rare. And in this case, Balog, I think, has fixated so much on the fact that this ASM, this brooch coin was lying to the right, that he put it somewhere where it doesn't belong. It's clearly not a Balog type 43. And actually, the complete legend of this coin, from this coin and others of its type, seems to match up with the reading found in Siligi Numorum Arabicorum Tubingham for Egypt, but the fact of the right-facing lion remains explained. So, as I mentioned, this work is preliminary. I'm in the course of preparing a more detailed hand list of these 86 coins for submission to John's in the near future, I hope. And I'm very happy to take any questions you may have.
Thank you very much, Warren. Great talk.
You're welcome.